Tracy Koga, it gives me great pleasure to welcome singer-songwriter Garrett Neiles to the stage.
How can I put this into words now? Lost inside, but I don't want a way out. You make me kinda crazy, but I don't mind. Said I'm right here, come on baby, don't be shy. Come a little closer, 'cause I'm dying to be. Come a little closer. Tie me down, no longer am I distant. And all I know, changing in an instant. I've been fine, writing my own story, all alone. Change my mind, make it all up for me, get close. But I know, said I know that I want more. Just keep beating down these walls around me, yeah. Come a little closer, 'cause I'm dying to be. Come a little closer. So what if I pulled you pulled you in close and didn't let you go? How did I get here? So I don't know. So I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know, said I know that I want more. Just keep beating down these walls around me, yeah. Come a little closer, 'cause yeah. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know, said I know that I want more. Just keep beating down these walls around me, yeah. Come a little closer, 'cause I'm dying to be. Come a little closer. Just come closer to me, yeah. Come a little closer, yeah. Just come closer to me.
All right, so closer's a pretty obvious one to figure out. It's clearly about your infatuation or your ire for somebody, and you know, your early adult years where you're kind of finding that somebody, and it was even more fun to do a co-write with another person on this, and her name Courtney Devon, incredibly talented singer, was part of the duet for it, and then as well Mr. James Roth, the incredible legend from Winnipeg, from the Pushing Daisies here. So it was definitely fun to collaborate with them on that one.
All right, so 2 names. Well, first of all, James, and then Courtney. So talking about now your kind of experience with the artistic music community, and you've only kind of been doing this relatively not a long time in comparison to a lot of musicians out there. So what was the experience like, and how has that expanded and helped you become more of an artist?
The experience was invaluable for sure. It's one of those things where you kind of you want to express what you're bringing to the table, obviously, but you also need to pay good attention to what everybody else, you know, at the table is bringing. And you know, you're always gonna find that one thing during any session where it's like, wow, like I never saw things that way, or wow, that person has an amazing perspective on this thing, and it literally changes everything. Like it, you know, you incorporate it into anything you do with music, and it's tremendously beneficial. The co-writes are tremendously beneficial to your beginner as well as more experienced stages in the songwriting.
So we'll talk more about your kind of relationships and mentorship in the music industry, but looking at some of your accolades and things that you've achieved in a short period of time, I mean, nominated and being in the top 3 for Winnipeg Nightlife Awards in company of Darcy Oak, who I'm sure a lot of people know, international renowned now magician. Yeah, and amazing. And and Sierra Noble herself, I mean, a prodigy since like 14, a fiddler, and then now going into singing and songwriting too as well. So in that company, what was it like?
Extremely honorable. Yeah. No, I couldn't imagine that. I mean, it is still. I mean, you put it all into perspective, and the things that they've accomplished. It's still a monumental event for me, no matter, you know, where you're from. If it's the Winnipeg Nightlife Awards or the Los Angeles Nightlife Awards, like this is awesome to be recognized with worldwide talent like Darcy Oak and Sierra Noble. And I think it was definitely a testament to the hard work that we put in throughout the last couple of years throughout the Winnipeg scene. And, you know, I'm extremely proud of it. And I'm also happy that we got to attend the awards, perform at the awards, and be a part of a really amazing night put on by my friend Bryce Salvador and his crew. So.
All right, so it all is about experience. So you're going to take us on to another journey. The next song, Car Crash. So I can't, it's Car Crash. And do you want to do a little kind of intro into this?
Yeah, sure. I should have specified, because closer and closer are spelled the same, I'm pretty sure. But you know what? This next song, Car Crash, is it takes on a little bit of a different direction. This one, I think in simplest terms, is about reckless love and careless driving.
I'm flashing back on all the things I wish that I had said. You can't change a memory once the moment's come and gone. We can't pretend it's alright if we're drowning in the wrong. This ride, it's a car crash, and it's me who can't control the wheel. You're in love for a wild ride. Grab your seatbelt, cause this is real. apologize one more time. You tell me that it's all okay. Can't see to take the wheel, push you so far away. With uptown, turn around, fake a smile for me now. Left, right, got it right up, get up against the mouth. Well, this love is a car crash, and it's me who can't control the wheel. You're along for a wild ride. Grab your seatbelts, I can sense the sweet. Focus on a fading image of you. Turn around now just to see you in my rear view. Doesn't really matter how you or I feel. It always ends the same, we're just spinning our wheels. Free fall alcohol, catch me before I hit the ground. Dark nights, suicide, you can't even save me now. Can't feel the fear, paralyzed me inside out. Big smash, car crash, I'm always gonna let you down. This love is a car crash, and it's me who can't control the wheel. You're along for a wild ride. Grab your seatbelts, I can sense this real. Whoa, 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 car crash, car crash. Whoa, 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 car crash, car crash.
And I'm looking actually into like the pop culture and, you know, the Taylor Swifts, the Justin Biebers out there, the Selena Gomez's, putting a lot of their own personal experience out there. How much do you want to put out there? Is it from your personal experience, and where do the lines blur?
That's a really, really good question. And, you know, I think about that every time I actually write a song, because it's, you know what, it's one thing to write something from personal experience or a feeling or an emotion that you're feeling, but it's another thing to be able to connect with a wide scale of other individuals. And I think that, how do I put this? I think that the best albums that I've listened to have a mix of that universality and then also that mystery, like, okay, what did this singer or what did the narrator actually go through? And it is definitely a fine line, but I think that when you're trying to tell a story, an incorporation of both is usually what I look for. But then there's also, you know, that one song where you're like, you know what, I want to tell this story. I want to tell it exactly how it happened, and I'm going to let people, you know, daydream or make up their own kind of story in their head about it. And that's the beauty of music right there, is you never really know what the actual story is, and you get to articulate it on it to yourself and make it your own, right?
Is it true that Burton Cummings actually opened for you?
Chronologically, yes. We had the ultimate pleasure of sharing a stage with Mr. Burton Cummings, who is, by the way, one of the classier individuals out there. He is definitely a Winnipeg legend and a Canadian rock legend, and on top of that, a global legend. So it was pretty special being able to share a stage with him, and I actually got the honor of spending about 15 seconds with him after he finished his show, and we were transitioning to walk on stage, and he was very encouraging, and you know, he wanted the best for us, and he put on a killer show that night. I tell you what, the guy's timeless. He rocked out a crowd at the convention center of there must have been upwards of 800 people there, and he had them all on their feet, and it was something to see for sure. So.
Well, definitely something that you'll never forget, and it is a well-supporting community, and you've had a very good relationship with a longtime local legend here.
Yeah, Mr. Nazim Lakay. If any of you are familiar in the room with his work, it's pretty special. He's got one of the finest talents on the bass guitar that I've seen, and I've been lucky enough that he's collaborated with me thus far in my short career so far here. So we've done countless shows together, and we've formed a inseparable relationship when it comes to music as well as friendship. And I know my dad doesn't want to hear this, but he's kind of a father figure to me in the music industry. And yeah, no, what he's the vehicle that he's provided me with to, you know, if I want to work hard, to be able to meet these contacts and to help me in my career, and it's invaluable. And he's the hardest person on me aside from myself as well. He if I play a wrong chord, or if I'm not doing something to the exact spec that it should be doing, he'll let me know, and it's you know, that's all you can ask in a partner, right? Is that competitive kind of spirit between each other to want to make each other better. So.
No, that's awesome. And before, just quickly, we do have some questions from the audience. And so this is, what is your favorite cover to play? And what is your favorite original?
All right. So my favorite cover to play right now is definitely Wheat Kings by the Tragically Hip. You know what? It's a song right now, given the the circumstance and everything, and it certainly doesn't make it any easier knowing that, you know, there was kind of a time limit for Gord, but it was very sad to see him go, and he had provided inspirations to so many musicians and so many non-musicians as well in Canada. But every time I play that song, it actually gives me joy. It gives me joy to know that we had such a legend from Canada write a song like that and provide so much inspiration to people all across Canada, all across the world. So that's my favorite one to do right now. Oh, and and I'll let you know about my favorite original. We'll play it in a bit here. So.
So now you are going to do actually a brand new song, Feelings.
Yeah. So this one's an interesting one. It kind of reverts back to your question about how much do you disclose. So Feelings is actually one that I wrote with a certain topic in mind, but I decided to make it a little more universal. So there's a line in the chorus that says, "I get feelings that I don't want to feel." And I really think that you can use this for, you know, there's a lot of great times in life, especially like this, where you're in good company. We got fantastic, you know, a fantastic venue here, and everybody's kind of, we're all feeling good tonight, right? Am I right? Okay. But it's not always like that, and you do go through tough times. There's times where you get angry. There's times where, you know, unfortunately you feel depressed or you feel anxiety, kind of like me right now in front of the camera. You know what? These are the moments that make us real human beings, right? And so this song, Feelings, is about feeling those real emotions, and, you know, just saying, we got to deal with it, right? And I hope that you all have a good support cast around you, because I see you in the company of good friends, and yeah, this is what that song's about. So.
All right, once again, welcome Garrett Neiles with Feelings.
I get feelings that I don't want to talk about. They scare me out to death, but there's no way to try to shut them out. And in the middle of the night, they make me want to scream. And when they come around, it's like you're stuck inside a bad dream. Well, I've got feelings that I don't want to feel, and I've got skies that are never gonna heal. I don't know when I will go wrong again, but I got feelings that I don't want to feel. No, I don't want to feel. They wake you in the morning, turn your blue skies into gray. Your friends are all around you, but you don't know what to say. When the day ends, all you wanna do is run and hide. You're scared you're gonna break, but you don't care enough to even cry. But you try. Well, I've got feelings that I don't wanna feel, and I've got skies that are never gonna heal. I don't know when I will go wrong again, but I got feelings that I don't wanna feel. No, I don't wanna feel. This is actually the first time I've ever played this song live for an audience. Said I've got feelings that I don't wanna feel, and I've got skies that are never gonna heal. I don't know when it all will go wrong again, but I got feelings that I've got feelings that I don't wanna feel. No, I've got skies that are never gonna heal. I don't know when it all will go wrong again, but I got feelings that I don't wanna feel. No, I don't wanna feel. Said I've got feelings that I don't wanna feel. I've got skies that are never gonna heal. I don't know when it all will go wrong again, but I got feelings that I don't wanna feel.
I hope you're enjoying Garrett Neiles' performance. And as you know, XQ's Cafe and Lounge also exhibits works from local photographers and local artists. And we're here this evening with TC Rochelle, who is a Winnipeg photographer. TC, welcome.
Thank you.
Would you be able to tell me a little bit about what inspired you to begin taking photographs?
Oh, kind of a few different things. I kind of dabbled in different kinds of art when I was younger, so kind of sketching, painting, just kind of a natural creative side of myself. And then I actually spent a couple months kind of hobby modeling, and I would see one photo and love it, and another photo and not love it and not understand. So I had to kind of break it down and learn how to take the photos and learn more about it, and just kind of created a photo medium that way.
So I've noticed here that your photos, a lot of them have a political bent, maybe a feminist bent. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about that? What inspires you?
Oh, a lot of different things. The collection that kind of started with the health cuts that were going on in Manitoba. So that was one of the things that I couldn't believe were happening. I went to Portland early in January, and there was a political rally there for when Trump got inaugurated, and it was one of those things where it's like 100,000 women have to go see it. It's what I'm a woman, it didn't make sense not to go. So some of the images are actually from that rally. And it was just one of those really positive experiences. Like, it wasn't people getting together and getting mad, it was people getting together and using their voices to try and explain this is not okay. So that's kind of what started this. And then when I left Portland, I was like, I love Canada, it's so great, our health system and everything is so good. And then I came back and started seeing some of the decline in our health system that a lot of people have been concerned about in the past few months. So it kind of just seemed like a really good way to meld the two together.
And also the women, the feminist aspect, is it I'm noticing nursing mothers, women with obviously just post-pregnant bellies, and is that something that must mean a lot to you? Or?
Yes, I'm a new mom, so I have a 3-year-old at home, and the first year of her life was very postpartum. There's a lot of stuff that people tell you, oh, sleep when the baby sleeps and all these things, and they tell you all those cliches, but they don't tell you about the mental load of motherhood or what postpartum really can be like. The difficulty is you just nurse your child, it's the most natural thing in the world. It's not. It's the most foreign thing for a lot of moms, and that was one of the things that kind of spoke to me. They're cutting lactation services in HSC, which are already hard to get, and now they're even harder unless you have lots of money and can pay out of pocket. So that was one of those things that kind of just seemed like a natural progression in my work.
And so as far as next project goes, are you going to remain sort of on the political bent, or still life, nature, National Geographic?
I'm a portrait photographer, so people are kind of what I really feel passionate about. I'm really inspired by the Me Too movement, so possibly something to do with that, or I really want to kind of keep going with the idea of how has life changed since things have been cut, and how are you doing now, what struggles are you doing. I like to do more raw and natural photography versus everything's posed and pretty, and this is our highlight reel, so I think that kind of differentiates me from others.
So is it something that, do you prefer, would you say that your photography is something that, a way of sending out a message, or is it more something that brings a message to you and helps you through things, or helps you to understand things?
I think it's a bit of both. It's definitely me expressing my voice and kind of how I view things. So where motherhood is kind of perceived as bright and airy, I kind of see the light and the shadows. So a lot of my work is moodier than others. Or it's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, I guess you can say, especially the political images where you see the signs and stuff. As far as what I like to do with my work, I really like to storytell, so trying to collect images together that tell a story is kind of where I'm going with things.
Have you ever considered mentoring other photographers? Is that something you would like to do? Take someone under your wing?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's finding the right fit. So it's finding someone who has the same belief system and who works similar to you, and that's kind of how you can go from there.
So let's talk about that belief system as far as photography goes.
You know what, I try and keep things as honest as possible, so there's going to be, I like to keep it light and airy. Yes, your kid is going to have a meltdown when they're getting pictures taken. It doesn't mean that that's a bad picture. I'm very honest, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily see. I don't always put a positive spin on it. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to say you need help. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have a really good day. It's okay to not love everything all the time. And I think a lot of pressure that's put on women is you have to be happy. You wanted kids. You have to do this. You chose to work. It's a lot of pressure and mommy wars that shouldn't exist. I'd like to think that we can have it all. I think sometimes there's sacrifices, but it's making more realistic expectations. So honesty and kind of realism is two of my core values.
TC Rochelle, thank you so much for sharing your talent and your time with us. And we're going to go back to Tracy Koga and Garrett Neiles at An Evening at Excuse.